Hi, I'm Mark Tyrell, and this is IFAI Talking Textiles, where we talk to successful companies about their experiences in the fabric industry. This podcast is brought to you by IFAI, a not-for-profit trade association representing the international specialty fabrics marketplace. IFAI hosts several exciting events throughout the year, including the annual IFAI Expo happening October 12th to 14th, 2022 in Charlotte, North Carolina. IFAI Expo 2022 is the textiles and specialty fabrics industry's flagship show for sourcing, networking, and education. To learn more about IFAI Expo and other upcoming events, visit ifai.com/events. On today's episode, we'll be speaking with Claude Le Bel, an entrepreneur and owner of Canadian textile company Sollertia. We'll learn about Claude's path into the textile industry, his achievements in the business, and his years in the industry. And now, let's talk textiles. Welcome, everyone, to IFAI Talking Textiles. I'm Mark Tyrell, and I'm joined by co-host Alex Petizio. Welcome, Alex.
Thanks for having me, Mark. Really excited to have Claude Le Bel on today, someone who's been in our industry for quite a long time.
Absolutely. So we're talking about Claude Le Bel of Sollertia, which is a light tensile structure, really kind of fabric architecture company, founded here in Montreal, and over the last 21 years. Claude's also been active in IFAI and a past member of our board. So we'd like to welcome Claude to the podcast. Claude, thanks for being here.
Thank you for the invitation. And hello, guys. I'm ready. I'm ready for you.
All right. Well, one of the things that we love here on the podcast is a good origin story. It's funny. Those are the things I love about movies and that. So I love to hear how people got to where they are, or some of the behind the scenes maybe that led up to them, getting into business for themselves, being an entrepreneur, and specifically in this case, a fabric architecture entrepreneur. So, and I know your past is intertwined with another very famous Montreal-born company, worldwide famous. But listen, take us back as far as you want to go, and tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are today.
Okay, so on the early 80s, I was working in the show business, doing shows and technical crew. And then in 84, I was the first technician hired at Cirque du Soleil. So I began working with fabric at Cirque du Soleil because we had a big top. We didn't know how to work with that big top because we are from Quebec and we have no circus culture. And so playing around with that tent for a year, and then the second year, and then I found my way in the fabric industry, and I just found in love with the fabric. It's amazing what you can do with fabric, especially with the big top. At that moment, I was looking at it. So, in a couple of days, we have a full theater for 2,500 person. And we were traveling with this in and out in every big city. We were downtown. And of course, after a couple of years, then we become famous. So there was something else traveling with having the Cirque du Soleil logo in our back and being recognized on the street. That was such an experience. But basically, with Cirque, had that contact, the first contact with the fabric. And during all those those years that I was working with them, we would push further the all the technical aspect of the big top. So Cirque du Soleil reinvented the show, but we as well reinvent the circus big top. So now the circus big top in the industry all across the world have technical aspect that has been developed with Cirque du Soleil. So I'm pretty proud of that one, even if nobody knows on the market, or everybody knows about the show of the Cirque du Soleil, but there was more than just the show we did there. That was a real revolution. And at the beginning with the real circus people, I will say, when we had the meeting with them, or they came to see the show, said, "This is not circus. You're not doing circus. This is not circus." And after 5-10 years, then everybody was doing a Cirque du Soleil style circus. So So I start that way, and after that, I become a trainer for Cirque du Soleil, and I was part of the SWAT team going across the world, starting shows everywhere on every continent. So in 2000, I decided to found Sollertia to have a team, my own team, to get further in that fabric industry, to do a project that nobody else do, and to have a bunch of brainstorming around the fabric and say, okay, what can we do with that? So
Right.
here we are, 21 years later. We are well established on the market, and we have a beautiful project that we done, and they still there, and I'm very proud of it.
So you've been in the fabric or in the industry for close to 40 years. That's pretty good.
If
A
you
lot of
say,
experience.
if you
Which
say so.
which I had to mention it. Besides the Cirque du Soleil, which project do you remember the most?
There's a lot of projects that I remember the most, and I will tell you what make me remember. There's two things that will make me remember the projects. The people that was on the project, that's the first one, and then the product that we did. But first of all, it's the people, the team that was there, what we did together, how far we pushed the limit of the fabric architecture. So sometimes it is not a well-known project or a big project, but we went so far in that field, people-wise, that it's a good. And of course, there's those big one like the Biodome in Montreal, the PY1 project for Lune Rouge and stuff like that. That those projects have a big exposure. And so, like Cirque du Soleil, so everybody knows that. So so of course I'm proud of it, but I won't say those are the biggest one that I'm proud of. They are part of it, but sometimes a little project could be something real strong, and that's it.
It's pretty interesting, just to come back to the circus thing, that whenever you hear stories of the circus, or the old adage, or the tales are always about somebody going running off and joining the circus and falling in love with show business and doing his thing. This guy goes off and joins probably what's arguably the biggest, or at least in modern times, the biggest circus in the world, and the thing, whatever. And what does he fall in love with? The tent.
I was no good on stage, so I was no good on stage. I didn't have choice.
When I think of circus, I think of someone riding the elephant.
But well, that's just what Claude was saying. Like, so many people didn't even accept the Cirque du Soleil as a real circus. Like, people in the circus business were like, "This is not a circus." But they did exactly that. It was almost exactly like like that disruptive technology that completely changes an industry. The technology that Netflix brought that Blockbuster didn't see coming, and knocked them out. And Soleil did the same thing in the live show business, in the circus business. And now, you know what I mean? And timing wise, okay, maybe even a little bit ahead of its time, because now, what, we don't accept animals in circuses and being shown around and things, and you know what I mean? And now, and Cirque du Soleil was the evolution of that. But honestly, Claude, I joke about it, but in our industry, we're all grateful that you fell in love with the tent and the fabric rather than the showmanship of the circus, because in the wake of that, you've created so many interesting projects and so many things that have actually really kind of helped advance our industry as a whole and bring credibility to it.
But the first reason why I was taking care of the tent, it's because nobody wants to do it. Right. I remember that the second city that we did on the first tour, and nobody wants to set up the big top. Nobody wants to take care of it. Nobody wants to be responsible for it. Nobody wants to be the tent master. I said, okay, I'll do it. Because I'm like that. There's something to do. I like to. I'm an entrepreneur. So right, I have to do something. So it is not really a choice. Basically, it's because nobody wants to do it. I said, okay, I'll fix it, and boom, here I am, 40 years later, like you said, Alex. Thank you to remember all.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I just had to mention it, but what's good about this is it started Sollertia. And what year did you start Sollertia, Claude?
In 2000. Yeah.
And what was your intention with Sollertia?
To build a team, to work together, to do stuff that nobody else do, to get further. That was the main idea. That's why we've been doing Sollertia since we start manufacture our own fabric 4 years ago. So before we were working with other supplier to build our stuff, but I was investing a lot in the people, on the engineer and the architects, and all the people that are thinking the project. And after 16 years, then I said, okay, now it's time to build it ourselves.
That's a great point, Claude. Actually, that's something that we talk about a lot on these podcasts, and something that we like to promote a lot within IFAI and IFAI Canada is working in collaboration, working within a network, and that. And you've definitely had a lot of experience with that. If you've just started doing your own manufacturing in the last 4 years, and a lot of people might be intimidated to start a business for exactly that reason. They don't have the know-how. They don't necessarily want to, start a big manufacturing plant. It's a big investment up front before they have the customers and the sales and stuff. So you kind of managed to, in a sense, put the cart before the horse and start it before you had all of that capacity. You may have had the know-how, but maybe not all the capacity. So maybe you want to talk to us a little bit about that era of Sollertia and how you kind of made that work, and maybe how you found your different collaborators and suppliers and that to do those projects.
Yeah, this is just the way I am. I want to do something. I said, okay, let's start from a point. Most of the people will wait till they have a project or something, money to get in, and I prefer to build it, then they will come. So I found Sollertia. Then I was busy that moment. Didn't have time to take care to get further. Then I hired one person and said, okay, go set up the office with 5 computers and stuff like this. Give in my credit card. I need phone line and all this. Here's the place. So we had an office with 5 computers on the table ready to work, and I didn't have the project yet. So, but as soon the project came in, I was ready to bang, and here I am.
Yeah, you created that opportunity.
I'm still working that way. Sometimes it's hard on the finance aspect, but this is the way I build stuff. So I like to say, we start working where everybody else stopped. So when I hear, somebody will say that's impossible, I will jump in for sure. I will do it.
That's where you live.
Need to do it. Yeah, that's it.
But you've built a career out of this, obviously being 40 years into it. But and you have a lot of knowledge. It seems like you're pushing the limits with the same intention to build fabric architecture and to have an impact on the projects and the people that you surround yourself with. I wanted first to speak about the challenges of that, and then how you go around those challenges. Do you mentor people or young entrepreneurs or people in the industry? Can you speak a little bit more on that, please?
Basically, I will look at something, said, okay, we can do that, even if we cannot. And from there, I will check with my people what we can do in-house. Do we have all the resources to do so? If not, what do we need? And then we will get those people on board, people that we need to have the full team to start the project. And that doesn't mean that we know what we're going to do or how we're going to do it, or because it's innovation. So, but at least we have the team around, a good brain to think about solutions. And sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we go the wrong direction. We have to come back and restart and stuff. This is the main idea of doing research and development and innovation. But it's always something around the people. It's finding the right person. It's amazing how much brain we have around us, and it's just a matter of to build, to open the door to those brain to get around the table, and everything is possible from there.
Honestly, Claude, it's amazing, to be fair. I mean, that's the space that you live in, the space that you operate in, I think frankly would scare the heck out of most people, and even people in the entrepreneurial discipline, and people in their own business, because like a lot of this stuff, I mean, to be honest, from somebody in an entrepreneurial role myself, man, we're not living in those frames. But honestly, and to be fair, on the projects where we've collaborated with you, I have to say, it's exciting and scary at the same time. Like, it's, what I mean, like at times you just like, sometimes when it all comes together and it ends in their success, it's kind of like, it's like, whew, like there's part of you that says, I never want to do that again, and then there's part of you that says, that after you've forgotten that emotion a little bit or whatever, you're like, okay, when are we doing that again? Like, like, is it
thrill?
Yeah.
It's a thrill.
It is. It's almost like, living on the edge. I think I understand maybe the thrill, or the draw of gambling, or of, what I mean, of risk taking, or extreme.
And sometimes it's so stressful. It's amazing. And I had times that I was looking at what we're doing, said, shit, we won't get there. It is impossible. And then I said, nah, it could not be. Okay, let's see it another way. Let's turn it around. Let's talk to somebody else. Let's, and with all those energy, you're getting to something. So it's a way of living. It's a way of doing my business. Yeah. The people around me, surrounding me, the people working for Sollertia needs to have that open mind. Otherwise they won't make it.
Yeah, no, I think it's a heck of a culture to try to foster and create, and it's amazing. And obviously, I think you have to be a real visionary to even kind of approach it that way.
Oh, thank you.
And speaking of vision, I'd be curious to know. I'm guessing, you would have dreamt big or whatever, but like, how does Sollertia look today compared to maybe what you envisioned it to be? In some ways, has it surpassed your expectations, or is it, exactly what you think, or you kind of thought like, wow, we actually did get here, or, what I mean, or does it look quite different than what you imagined in the beginning?
Actually, the target's still the same, right. But the tools that we have now, the opening on the market, I think that we've been create all those years, bring us to another point of view, saying we can have the same target, but get there wider. We can do more with what we have, because we have a lot of supplier partners, friends around us, that they know how we work, and working with people with good heart and be honest with them all the time, brings you to a point that you have so many capacity with everything around, and you're one of those, Mark. We did a couple things together, and I know if I call you, you'll be there, and I do the same for you. So, and this is important, not just for our industry, for our businesses. It's important to feel that we have that confidence, knowing that I will scratch his back, and if I need so, one of these days he will, or he will scratch the back of somebody else. Right. And then, we just make, how do you get that, tache d'huile,
yeah.
So, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So
it's
this is the way I see it, and my vision. I understand now that I have more possibility. On the other side, I have to be careful on what I'm doing. Meaning, I want to make sure that, everybody that's getting involved will reach, what they were looking for in a certain way. I have to make sure that I'm not disappointing my partners or people or my staff, because, I have to stay focused on the target, but the tools around to play with, there is so many. It's
Absolutely. And it's funny, you remind me of an expression that I think you were the first to tell me, but it came from a consultant and a friend and somebody that we've both worked with, Paul. And when he said, if you want to go somewhere fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go with the village, or you go in it.
Yeah.
You go all together.
Yeah, and I think that's the right way to see it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm really slow, basically.
Or you can look at it as very thorough as well.
No, but it's also, you know what, whatever adage you want to apply to it, or it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? So I mean, when you go with and you use the support around you and you use the resources, it creates that sustainability and that longevity that you really need as a business, where you're not trying to figure it all out by yourself. The ideas don't all come from you, but rather they come from everybody around you, and it also creates a more fulfilling experience and a more fulfilling environment, whether within your team or within the group of companies or the network that you're working within.
And I know, Claude, that you have kids and they're also in the business, I believe. How have they liked being into the business?
I got 5 kids.
Okay, 5 of them. So are they all working at Sollertia or with you in the business?
No, just 3 of them. The 3 last ones still at school, but but they work for the company sometime. But 2 of them, my older daughter, she's the director of the textile shop. She built it from scratch. She was looking for a project. She took training to become entrepreneur and stuff like that. Said, hey, why don't you build the shop? So the shop is in Sollertia, but this is her shop that she put up. And in last April, we bought Les Entreprises RIM. And since then, she's the general director of that shop too. So she said, okay, I want to be in charge of all the shop, not just the textile shop. So here she is, and she's doing great. And I can tell you, and I'm looking in her and my son. I said, okay, they are there, so I might get retired sooner or later, and somebody else will take over. And my son, he's a chief installer. So since he was a teenager, he'd been working with me on the field, putting up structure, big top. He's been on tour with the Cavalier. He's been working with Cirque du Soleil. He's walking in my path, I will say, as a chief tent assembler. And he's very good. And he's full-time for Sollertia. And he's got so much experience and knowledge in fabric. So it's really valuable in the company to have people like. So they are there, not because they are my children, it's because they are doing the job. And right. I'm very proud of it. And my girlfriend's working in the business as well. And it's a family company. As long as they do the job, I'm okay with that.
But it's nice that they show that interest as well. I mean, in the tents, in the production, and building up the company and working on projects and pushing the limits, as we discussed, through textile architecture. So that's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah,
Claude.
And it works because I let them take their place. I'm not over their shoulder. Like my daughter, she built the shop. She did all the shopping to the tools and all this. I was there with her, but that was her shop that she put on. So I think if you have that respect with the children, then they are comfortable working in the business. I know in my friends, I see other company that they have their children, and sometimes they are not so happy to be in it because there's no room for them. Right. And this is something that we have to learn as we get further with that business to take my place as the president, as a CEO, and let the other places to the right person, and be confident that they're gonna do the job. So if you have that room in your job, and they trust you to do your job, and you have the space, the tools. Of course, you have to produce something good. But at Sollertia, they have their space.
And yeah, it's an opportunity for them, and we
yeah.
discussed this also with House of Canvas in Ottawa, and there are challenges in working with family. There are the good parts as well, but it's finding that place and finding the opportunity, and a lot of our industry has that. For instance, I'm looking at myself. My father is president of NASIL. So it's something that we see often in our textile industry. So it's always a question we like to ask.
Yeah.
I think, Mark, also you have some family in the business as well.
Oh, correct? Absolutely. I mean, it's a family business, and I'm the third generation. We've got fourth generation working in it. But I think Claude hit the nail on the head. But it's your approach to your whole business. You like to let your partners have input in the same way that you've got to let your members of your team have input, and that applies even more so to members of family, because they feel that overwhelming presence of you as their father or whatever, and they want to make their own place and their own name and have their own impact and contribution.
Sometimes things will move slower because of all this,
right?
But like you said, that's the village. They need to move at that speed to get further.
Absolutely. And I think it's a great philosophy. Listen, Claude, I think the one conclusion that I can draw from this conversation, and because I have so many other questions, so many other topics I would love to cover, or that we would love to cover, I think we're absolutely definitely going to
invite me for a glass of scotch, and I'll be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Then when we can do this in person, we're really going to get the dirt. We're going to get about the wild days at the Cirque du Soleil and some of the craziness that's ensued since. But yeah, we definitely want to get you back on here a little bit more about your vision for the industry as a whole. There's a lot of topics we want to cover. Unfortunately, we're short on time for today. So what I will promise our audience is this will be the first in at least a 2-part, maybe several parts going forward. But Claude, look, we really want to thank you for taking the time today. I will conclude also by saying that for any of our francophone listeners, especially here in Quebec, that we also recorded a French version of this podcast that you can listen to.
Which is not the same though.
Similar topic, exactly.
Similar.
Yeah. Oh, you can listen to the English version and the French version, and you're going to get probably some overlap, but also some. We definitely covered some other topics as well. Some of the ones that we may have missed on this one. But listen, thanks so much, Claude. We absolutely look forward to having you back on the podcast in the near future. Thanks to everyone for listening, and thanks for being a part of IFAI Textiles' third episode. Thank you for joining us for the third episode of IFAI Talking Textiles. This podcast is brought to you by IFAI, a not-for-profit association representing the international specialty fabrics marketplace. Learn about events and workshops IFAI hosts throughout the year at ifai.com/events.